So tell me if this sounds like you. It's January. You have the most beautiful, perfect idea for your planner system. You set it all up. You get everything in working order. You know it's going to be beautiful and brilliant. And you spend all January just completely not using it. January is like everyone's laboratory for whether or not their planner system will actually work for them and will actually like hold water. And I feel like this January I've seen so many people switching things around, changing things up, moving things from this planner to that planner, getting totally different planners based on what they see on Instagram or based on what they think will work for them. And I am not an exception to that rule. I absolutely followed some January trends this year and changed up my whole system from what I thought I was gonna be using to a totally new, different, unique thing. So I wanted to make this video to just give you guys a little update on how I've been using my planner since January, how February is going for me, and what I am considering my everyday carry right now. And I also wanted to give you guys like a little bit of like permission to be flexible. I think it can feel really weird to set up your whole planner system and get something that you think will work for you and then just like give up on it halfway through January or maybe in February. But you're not giving up. What you're doing is just changing and using what works at that time. And that's basically what I have been doing for the past 2 months. So I'm going to take you over to the flat lay and we're going to get started and take a look at the various planners that I have been in and out of so far in 2023. By the way, if you're new here, my name is Rachel. I do all sorts of planner and stationery stuff here on the YouTubes, and I'm so happy you're joining me today. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Let's get into it. So you guys know that like what I refer to as my everyday carry is typically my Hobonichi Weeks, which is this little guy right here in an Asian vintage traveler's notebook style cover. I have 2 Hobonichi Weeks, and this is usually what I refer to as my everyday carry, but things have been getting kind of crazy in January, so I just want to talk about it. So I have been in this planner since December, so the Hobonichi Weeks starts in December, so I've been using this 2-book planner system since December 1st, or the last week of November, since it's a weekly planner and the weeks started in the last week of November. And I wanted to do a 2-book planner system because I tested it out a little bit at the end of last year, and what I found was I really liked having my work and personal be separate, but I needed to have them be like together, if that makes sense. So this is the Hobonichi Weeks that I use for work, and this is the one that I use for personal, and I loved having them in the same cover so that I could always have my work and personal tasks like together, but I was keeping them in distinct planners, so I always knew that anything personal went in here, anything work related went in here, and when I was looking for personal information versus work information, I knew where to look. And I started this back in December, and I really, really, really loved it, and I still love it. I cannot stress to you enough how much of like planner piece my Hobonichi Weeks is and has been and like will probably always be for me. I absolutely love this planner. It's so compact, yet it is so like versatile and complete as well. I have talked to you guys about this before. I am like very much a weekly planner girl. Like I will come into my weekly, and that is like how I live my life, how I organize my thoughts and stuff like that. Basically how I just think about the passage of time is very much in a weekly way, from a weekly overview. So the notes pages at the back were getting used for stuff like writing down notes from classes I was taking, writing down like movies I had seen or books that I was reading, basically like memories of the content that I was consuming, which was really fun for a while. I kind of fell off of it, but you know, it's not like a strict practice. I can always pick it back up again. And I also, in my work one, the back of the work planner, the memo pages in the work planner were basically just like lots of content stuff, lots of notes of meetings that I went to, stuff like that. So that was all in the back of the work planner, and then in the personal it was just more personal stuff. And this was really working for me for a little while until about like mid-January. So in like mid-January, I got sucked in to the pocket craze, okay? Everybody and their mother on PlannerTube, Plannergram, whatever, was like using a pocket notebook of some kind. And I got swept away. I got swept in. And so I started using this little pocket notebook, which is basically just a regular graph paper moleskin notebook in their pocket size. It is really not fancy at all. It has one bookmark, and then it also has a
pocket in the back here that I just keep like the extra materials in. I was really vibing on the sort of like small size of the Hobonichi Weeks. One of the things I love about the Weeks planner is that it is so compact. And I was also feeling a little bit restricted by having like a dated weekly. Like I wanted to just explore and draw my own things for a while. And I was also attracted to the idea of having everything in one book. So if you guys saw my video about like why I don't bullet journal anymore, I'll leave it linked up in the cards. Essentially, that video was me talking about the elements of bullet journaling that don't jive with me, that don't work for me. And one of those things is like not having a dated weekly. So this experiment didn't really last very long because I really need something dated and I need to be grounded by having like a pre-printed planner. But it was really fun and experimental. I did just kind of get back to like drawing my own layouts and stuff. I experimented with a couple different layouts on what I'd need to see like on a weekly basis for my planner. And I was back to combining work and personal. So I was back to putting it all together in one book. And that was what was really attractive to me about like just starting fresh and starting over with a new planner, because I like having my work and personal separate, but the more I experimented with the sort of separate nature of my work life and my personal life, the more I sort of realized that like these things are bleeding into each other more and more. Especially I work from home about 3 days out of the week and I'm in the office about 2 days out of the week. That changes a lot. Some weeks I'm in like all 5 days because my office does events and so we have to be in for events. But basically when I was like at home, I was flipping back and forth in this so much. I was just like flipping from here to here to here to here to back here. And I felt like the need to instead have everything all on one page or all in the same collection of pages. So the Hobonichi Weeks, as you guys probably know, it has all the weeks in the front and then it has all of the memo pages in the back. So the weeks planner doesn't have like them side by side. It has them in separate sections. And I was super fine with that, but I just really wanted something that had it all together and to experiment with like what would it really be like to see my personal and work and content and everything all in one weekly view, and to have the pages following and surrounding this weekly view just be whatever was coming to my mind and to my brain. Plus, everybody was doing pocket size, so I was really interested in the pocket size, and I actually super love the pocket size. I really fell in love with it in January, and it's like so cute and compact and perfect, and it's just like the exact thing you need sometimes when you just like need to carry up around a notebook. So this is like definitely my preferred size of notebook right now, but I think that the size was also limiting my ability to see everything all at once. I sort of recreated my Hobonichi Weeks layout because I do really love the layout in this. And it was good for a while. I was able to sort of journal a little bit alongside my weekly spreads, and I was able to start drawing a little bit, which was really cool. So I was able to like have notes about stuff that I like wanted to keep in my memory, like in my journal, or to just like expunge feelings. That's really what that journaling spread is about. It's just me expunging some feelings about kind of the horrible shootings that happened at the beginning of January. Dark moment there, but like I just needed to journal about it and talk about it and get my feelings out. And I would not have done that if I was in my Hobonichi Weeks, because I had such a different relationship with these two planners. That's not to say you can't do something like that with the Hobonichi Weeks. You totally can. But for me, it was just really freeing to be able to just open up to a new page and just say like, okay, like this is like same week, same everything, but it's more in line with my week, and I can see sort of like what happened that week from a journaling perspective, from a tasks perspective, what kinds of things I was seeing visually in my environment that I wanted to draw perspective. I could see all of that in line with one another, and that was like really special. But I used this only for like a couple of weeks, and then I stopped using it because I was feeling unmoored by the lack of structure and the lack of like dated pages. So I stopped using this, even though like honestly, I love this little notebook and I am going to carry it with me, especially if I'm just like going somewhere and I don't really need a planner. This is definitely what's going to be coming with me because this is like so perfect, and I love the graph paper. I love really everything about this, but it's not best for me from a planning perspective, even if it is like ideal for like a journaling and sketching perspective for me. So I put this down and I sort of went back to my two other journals. So This one is a Hobonichi A6 planner. It's their, their like original A6 Techo planner. I think I say that every single time wrong. Techo, whatever. I use this for journaling. I journal with it every single day. It stays by my bedside, and I am super minimal with it. I just use the one pen, and then I have sort of like an accent color pen based on the color of the month. So February is like this brownish color, so I'm using this Fude Touch like brush pen in brown to just, add like a highlight of a day and like a larger font, basically. I'm not going to show you really what journal entries look like in this because they are super, super private. I think I have a video where I show you like a page previously on my channel, so you can go look for that if you're really, really curious, but it's nothing special. It's basically just text journaling, just dumping and getting things out of my brain at the end of a day. And this is the one habit that I've always done, is have a journal and write in it, regularly or semi-regularly, and it's super, super helpful. I'm gonna leave my video about like memory keeping and journaling up in the cards if you guys are interested in more of my thoughts about journaling. I sort of go into it in that video, but basically like this is everything to me. This is like my reflective practice. It's my meditative practice. It's my spiritual practice. It's everything. So I really, really needed a journal. And while I was enjoying journaling in line like this, the sort of structure of a day per page, again, that like dated structure keeps me on track and keeps me accountable. So this was really helpful to go back to. And I was like backfilling a bunch of the days I missed in January in this. And I still have some backfilling to do, but it's really, really helpful from a daily perspective. So I'm just trying to kind of focus on that daily habit. So I'm back in this, using this regularly. Really love this. Do not want to give it up ever again. And then I'm also in the Common Planner. Guys, this planner and I have had a love-hate relationship this year so far. I started the year with this planner as sort of a memory keeper. So let's take a look. So right now I have it in a Moterm cover. I've talked about this cover all the time. I'll leave it linked in the description below. What I really like about this cover is the dual like clasps here. So I basically have stuffed this pen holder to the breaking point, and I'm holding 3 pens in there. And so when I'm holding 3 pens in there, it's really nice to have like the extra slack and be able to button it on like this button. So it like actually holds all the pens instead of like struggling to button it on this button. So I love Moterm covers for that. I think Moterm covers are so great. And so at the beginning of the year, I started using this planner as basically kind of like loosely a memory keeper, kind of like a catch-all. I had a lot of goals and ideas for how I wanted to use it, especially the sort of like goals section at the beginning, the quarterly planning section that she has in here. So yeah, so this was like the quarterly planning section. And if you can't see that, I'll just like lift it up a little bit so you can kind of see how Sterling Ink designed this with like priorities and then each of the 3 months and then a sort of vertical monthly view over here on this page. So it's very like goals oriented in the beginning, and I really wanted to use this to track my goals, but what ended up happening was like I was thinking about tracking goals here. I was kind of like doing some loose memory keeping in the weeks, and then I wasn't using the back pages at all. And the back pages were one of the reasons that I really loved this planner and got it in the first place, because these back pages are totally undated. They're totally free form. So the planner has a lot of structure, which I really like. Has the structure of a weekly view, which I need and I love, and I live and die by my weeklies. I've told you guys this before. It had all of this like fancy goals structure up at the beginning that was super, super appealing to me. And then the back is totally freeform, so I could journal, I could commonplace notebook. I don't really like commonplace a lot, but I could. And I could just write down whatever was coming to my brain. So that's why I bought this planner, because I was like, it has everything I want. It has like the free form nature of the back pages, but then also the structure of the beginning of the planner. And I'm really excited to use it. And then I just sort of like didn't use it because I was so deep in my Hobonichi weeks, and this was like enough to keep up with for me that I didn't really find myself coming back in here. So I ended up just like transferring some of my goals information into this planner in various ways. Like I would either write it on my phone and then just have a note on my phone up when I wanted to track my goals or think about my goals, or I think there's like a page back here that I dedicated to like writing down my goals too. So anyways, all that is to say, like I tried to move a lot of that into this planner in January when I realized like this was not really working for me. But then this planner came along and changed everything, this little pocket Moleskine notebook, and I was really, 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 really vibing on having everything in one book. And since I was really vibing on having everything in one book, I was like, look, this pocket size is working for me. It's great. I could buy like an actual pocket-sized planner and keep everything in that book, but I already have this beautiful planner, the Common Planner, that has everything I need in one book, and I can just use that. So what I'm trying to do right now, and this is sort of like where I am living and breathing, and of course I'm making a video about it, so all this could change like literally tomorrow, but right now I'm really enjoying being in one book and having my personal tasks, my content stuff for this channel and for Rachelle in Theory, and then for my work life, just all being collected together in one spot. The exception, of course, being my journal entries, since I do carry this to work and I carry it, every other place with me. Having like a special protected space for my journal entries is actually much better and much easier. I do some journaling in this, but this is like where I journal my real ass thoughts, not my like sort of like, oh, this is a fun memory. So having this separate is totally fine and totally good, but I do consider this like a true one book system, and I've been sort of playing with that right now. So a little bit about how that is working for me right now. This goals section up at the front that I just showed you is working out to be more of a review section. So I'm like writing some priorities down, and then I'm also writing a review down, and I'm not really referring to this every single day or very frequently, and I still don't know what to do with this side. I'm really not doing anything with it, and that's fine. It's not a big deal for me. But this is sort of like a manifesting page in which I write priorities here, and then I write a reflection or a review on the right hand side at the end of each month. So that's working for me for right now. And then each month, this is how February is turning out so far. Each month I do carry over what I used to do in my work planner, which are my 2-week sprints and my distraction log. I will leave my distraction log video up in the cards. As always, it is one of the methods that has worked the most for me in terms of like how my work life lives. So the biggest difference is like in my work planner, my monthly section was devoted to my distraction log. So quick recap, my distraction log, I split it up by sprints, which are essentially just like a way of thinking about time in relationship to projects. And I split it up by 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks I have a set of priorities that I'm trying to accomplish by the end of that 2 weeks. I write them all in the weekends because I'm not working at my 9-to-5 job on the weekends. So I take up that space with the priorities. And then during the week in this sort of green pen, which I have a green pen nib in my multi-pen, I will go in and I will write what distracted me the most. And this really helps for, communicating with my boss and like higher ups and stuff like that about like, okay, well, we had to shift priorities because like this thing came up, that's why we didn't get to X project, or I adjusted so that we could accommodate XYZ instead of ABC, whatever. So anyways, distraction log linked up in the cards for your viewing pleasure, but basically I transferred that over here. And what I'm doing here now is I've split it up between my 2-week sprints, and I'm just using pen here instead of washi tape like I was in my work planner in my Hobonichi weeks, but I'm just using pen. I split off the weekends, and I have my distraction log with the green pen just like ready to go. But because this is an all-in-one planner, this monthly also needs to contain just things that I'm doing. So those just things that I'm doing, appointments that I have, stuff like that, is all in black, and then the distraction log is in green, and I'm even experimenting a little bit with like personal distractions in blue. So like my work distractions, like all of these emails came up a couple weeks ago, for example, and those were all written in green. But then the next week I was actually distracted by like being on Instagram and texting my friends, and that's a personal distraction. That's not something that like I will be I need to work on with my boss, for example. That's just something that I need to work on personally. So I'm experimenting with having like different colors for different types of distractions. But the point is that like, because this is a more sizable planner than my Hobonichi weeks, like the Hobonichi weeks monthly is so small. It's just like itty bitty tiny compared to this. I don't know if that is really coming across on camera, but this is like so small. It's like half the size of this box. So because this is larger, I can actually put in my total like days overview and have room for my distraction log. So that is awesome. And I really like how this is working because I always struggle with my monthlies and planners, and I definitely struggled with my January monthly here. I was just like not using it at all. So this is like awesome for me. And I really, really enjoy the way that this is happening right now. And then in the weeks, like I said, I was sort of using it. I had tried to use it as like a memory keeper. And I've shown this spread a million times because it's really the only time I successfully did that. And then things like sort of got weird. Like this week was really, I don't know what I was doing this week. And then this was like a week that I tried. I was thinking I wanted to move into this planner this week, and I tried to like track my tasks and my meetings in a way that sort of broke the layout and didn't work with the timestamps on the side. But eventually, I realized that like I actually want to work with the timed layouts here. What is so great about the Hobonichi Weeks layout is that it is so thin, like so small. There's not a lot of room to write a lot of priorities or a lot of tasks for the day. And I really appreciate that because it keeps me focused. It helps me identify and then prioritize the things that need to get done because there's like only so much room that I can write things down here. And I was trying to transfer that over to here, but I think I'm sort of the type of person, maybe, and this might change, whatever, but I think I'm sort of the type of person who, when I'm working with a planner layout, like I really need to work with sort of how it was built to be used first, and then I can experiment. So this week didn't really work for me, and I was still in my Hobonichi Weeks and my pocket planner like while I was playing around with this. I was sort of doing a bunch of things. And then this ended up being just sort of a place where I pre-planned. So I created like a sample week basically of everything that I needed to get done in a given week, including like getting ahead on work projects, eating, working out, showering, having therapy, have like meetings with like people for the YouTube channel, for the like personal nights when I would have time off, things like that. So I created a sample weekly here, and that's what this week was because I was in a different planner in this particular day, so I wasn't filling this up. So that's a little hack. If you have a blank vertical weekly, I really, really recommend creating like a time blocked like sample schedule. It's so helpful, and nothing makes me feel like I have my shit together like making a sample schedule and being like, yes, I will accomplish those things. But this was not pre-planning. This was not any kind of planning. This was just saying like at this time on Thursdays, generally I will be getting ready. Not like I will be getting ready Thursday the 19th. So the dates don't really matter here, but this was super helpful because I was jumping between planners so much that I was like, okay, what is my actual schedule? Like what are my actual plans on a weekly basis? And this was super helpful. And then I sort of tried to do time tracking in here, and that was fine, but it didn't really carry over until February, and I am obsessed with this week. And this is sort of why I'm making this video, because I wanted to share this with you guys. I did post it on Instagram, but somehow this week has just been going so beautifully well. I think I hacked it. I think I figured it out. Once I told myself like, okay, you want to go into one book, so just forget about your Hobonichi Weeks. Forget about your tiny little pocket planner experiment. Those do not exist anymore. The only thing that exists is the common planner, is this one planner. Do something with it. Once I told myself that, which I did this first week of February, I was like cured. I don't know what happened, but like the vertical weekly just like suddenly started manifesting for me, and it was amazing. So at the beginning of the week, all I really put in was my work appointments, and then things I knew were associated with that. So like these 2 days I was in the office, so I put in office. I put in my commute time, for example, stuff like that. Those were the only things that I knew was gonna happen. I knew I was having a Super Bowl party this weekend, so like that's in there. But everything else, what you see on top of that is all like me adding things in as they come up. So I ended up having like a nail appointment on Tuesday. I ended up hanging out with my friend Sam on Wednesday, and those things got added as they came up, right? Not at the beginning of the week. And that was so helpful because all the times I try to pre-plan in like a vertical weekly, it just ends up looking like this, honestly. It ends up looking like complete crap. And that's fine. That's totally fine. But having like a more realistic like log of what I did instead of like having a plan, that's how I actually was using the Hobonichi Weeks in the first place. So I would come in at the start of a week and the start of a day, and I would say, okay, what have I got going on this day? And then that's when I wrote out these things. Instead of saying at the beginning of the week, okay, what is my like master schedule? When am I going to do everything that I need to do? It's more like I have a collection of things that I need to do. I have a whole week. When can I slot them in? And then at the start of the day, I'll come in and I'll put those into my planner. So I don't know if that's really making sense, but this is what is absolutely working for me right now, and I want to sort of lean into that rather than lean away from it. The other thing that I'm making sure to do is I am writing accomplishments on my sidebar, and I'm tracking my sleep. My sleep is really, really important for me, and I'm really bad at tracking it, but I had like recently a conversation with my therapist about like how important sleep is to your mental health. And for the particular mental health issues that I am dealing with, sleep is like really, really critical to be consistent on. And I'm really not consistent. As you can see, I'm just like really not consistent. But what gets measured gets managed. And so I am measuring my sleep and also measuring my accomplishments. This is like another mental health trick that I have used before when I am feeling like down or like I haven't done anything with my life or other sort of lies that your brain tells you. Having an accomplishments checklist or an accomplishments like what I have done this week is really helpful, and sometimes it's so small. Like I started working out again this week finally. I have been like sort of loosely doing movement throughout all of January, but like now I have a routine and I have a coach who I'm working with, and I was just so proud of myself for doing that. And so I wrote it under accomplishments, but also like I made a whole playlist of an artist that I really like. So that was an accomplishment too, because that was like one of the things that I wanted to do, and I did it, and it's done, and now I have it. So this sidebar ends up being sort of like more focused on like the things that I've got done, tracking, things like that. That's super, super helpful for me, especially for my mental health. And then I also have some stuff that gets planned in here, so this is the video, the hidden z-axis of the planner matrix is the video that's going up this weekend, and I have it on a sticky note because I wasn't sure when it was going to go up, but it's now in for this weekend. And that is sort of like the stuff that is more flexible. I'm gonna like just put it on sticky notes and plan it as it comes up. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've talked a lot about this weekly, but I was just like amazed at how well it worked, and I'm really, really happy with it. Now onto the back of the planner and to the dailies. So this is what my dailies are looking like right now. I literally just mentioned in my bullet journal video, which again is linked up in the cards, I literally just mentioned that dailies like don't really work for me, and that is still true. Honestly, I'm still struggling with this section. You can see there's like lots of things that didn't get done that still need to be migrated. I'm kind of still scattered in the back half of this planner a little bit. Honestly, I may just redraw a Hobonichi Weeks layout again in the back of this planner, even though that would mean like I have 2 different weeklies, but whatever, it is what it is. But for now, I am trying to just take it day by day and write like a daily to-do list. And this has mostly work stuff in it, but also there's lots of spaces where I'm writing lyrics to songs that I'm listening to or songs that I'm obsessed with. I'm putting in stickers. I'm taking notes on something I was learning. So I was learning all about the Kibbe body types this particular week, which I'm still confused as to which one I am. I think I'm soft gamine. I don't know, whatever. It's not important. I just thought it was like an interesting sort of like body typing system, and I was really curious about it. So like that's what that is. But it's cool, and it's giving me the sort of like feeling I got from this tiny bullet journal when I was like able to just put everything side by side one another. It's giving me that feeling again, and I really, really, really like that feeling. So on like previous pages, I'm not really going to show this past page because there's like personal journaling on there, but like I'm also doing that. I'm journaling alongside my task lists, alongside the like random pieces of information that my brain really wants to hyperfixate on, whether that's a song lyric or the Kibbe body typing system or whatever. So it's very good right now. I am nervous that it's going to get overwhelming soon because, again, like I haven't done dailies in a long time, and I really hate just like migrating endlessly, and that's usually what dailies end up doing for me, but I'm cautiously optimistic that this is going to work. And then I can also just like on this page I have some like outlines for videos that I'm filming today, and I don't know, it's just so nice to know that this is my notebook, and I am coming to this notebook and I can like put anything that I need to put in here, and it really is like a one book system. Yeah, it's been nice. So I'm gonna try to keep with like a one book system for as long as I can, basically. I'm gonna still keep my Hobonichi Weeks updated. I'll probably like cross-populate a lot of the things that get planned or done in this notebook. I'll probably cross-populate them into this just so I have the full record of that when I want to move back into my weeks system. And trust me, it is a when, not an if. I just know that at some point I'm going to be moving back into the weeks system. This is like the exact same thing that happened to me last year. I fell out of love with my weeks around February. I moved into a different planner, and then I fell back in love around July and moved back into the weeks system. So I know what's gonna happen, and I wanna make sure everything is like up to date, but it's not gonna be like direct one-to-one, like all my thoughts, all my feelings, you know, all my task lists. It's probably gonna be like major events and things that I really need to remember, especially for work, so that I'm not ever lost when I'm in this planner when I eventually go back into it. So I'd actually like to make a video about like how I cross-populate and keep those, keep them like up to date. So I will be making a video like that. Stay tuned in the channel for when that comes up. I'd really like to make that video because a lot of you guys have asked me how I manage multiple planners, and I think that's really the key. So I'll be making that, but for now, it's the Sterling Ink Common Planner, baby, and I am loving it. I'm so happy I hacked the vertical weekly. I honestly, I thought for a while there, I was really worried that vertical weeklies were just not gonna ever be my thing, but we're here, and we're using the vertical weekly, and it's great. A quick note on supplies. So I am using basically 3 pens in the Common Planner. Let me open back up to that weekly spread. So for all of my writing, I'm using my Uniball Jetstream multi-pen. It's always gonna be linked down below. Love this guy. I'm just using the black for pretty much everything in the week. And then in the months, I already told you guys, I'm using the green and the blue for distractions. I'm thinking I'm gonna use the red for like a health log. I don't know. I really like to share with you guys what's going on in this planner, and health stuff gets kind of personal very fast, so I'm not quite sure, but I'd really like to start doing that, so we'll see. But for now, each of these colors sort of has a different purpose in the monthly, but in the weekly and the daily, it's just black pen all the way down, and that keeps it so simple and so chic, and I am a fan. And then the highlighter that I'm using is actually this Zig Memory System dual brush pen. It's like their brushables line. I was at an art store with my sister many weeks ago in December, and I just saw this and I was like, wow, those colors look like such a perfect like warm gray. Like it's, the color is platinum of the pen if you're interested in grabbing this. I got it at Bix Art Supplies, so you can probably get it at many art stores, but I was just like, oh, they look like such a beautiful warm gray and I really like them, and that's what these colors are. So this color right here is like the dark side, and then this color right here is the light side, and I've just been using that to sort of track certain things in my days, and that's going really well. But I also use it to color in these like headers during my dailies, when I'm in my dailies, and that just adds like a pop of color, and depending on like the hierarchy of the heading, right, these like main headings get the dark gray, and sort of subheadings like this meetings heading gets the light gray. So that's how I'm using this pen. And then the final pen that I'm using is a Tombow Fudenosuke. This is the hard tip brush pen, and I'm just using that to write any sort of headers or these like lyric quotes that I want to write in, and that's super helpful. It's super basic. I just needed kind of like a thicker pen to be able to do that with, where my ballpoint was not sufficing, and that really helps me just like scan very quickly to be able to see what I was thinking about, what kind of things I was writing down, and what days I was keeping track of in these particular spreads. On my weekly, this pen gets some love, mostly only in the headings for work though, because like I said, that's really all I'm planning out at the beginning of the week, and everything else just sort of gets added in. So I may use this for a couple other headings when I am planning my week, but for now it's just the work ones, and I'm satisfied with that. You'll notice that this is pretty much pen only, like there's no stickers in here, and I'm really vibing on that a lot. But I do always carry around with me my little sticker pack, the Hobonichi Weeks photograph album, that has just like every character sticker I could ever dream of. And in my Hobonichi Weeks, I was putting like a sticker down every single day, and it was really fun. In this one, I'm not doing that in the weeklies right now. I might do that in the weeklies, but I am sort of putting them down in the dailies, just like here and there based on when the mood strikes me, and that's working so far. So I'm gonna keep doing that, and I keep this with me because of that, because I bought all these character stickers and I really do want to use them, even though I'm sort of going more monochrome and more minimal with my planning right now. So yeah, so that is the state of the Planner Union around the Rachel in Theory channel. I want to be more active with posting my spreads and keeping you guys updated over on Instagram. So if you don't already follow me over there, go follow me and you can see some of these spreads more in depth. Thank you so much for watching. I know that I feel like everyone is like jumping around at this time of year. Like after testing out our systems in February, it's so tempting and sometimes necessary to just like spend February reevaluating and fixing everything that's wrong. And I think the main thing that I was feeling the need to fix was like consolidating even further, which I already consolidated a lot from my from my 2022 lineup to my 2023 lineup. I consolidated down so much, and I'm happy that I listened to myself and consolidated down even further, because otherwise I don't know what I would have done if I didn't have like one book that I could rely on. I don't know. I would still be pretty scatterbrained, I think. So anyways, so let me know what you think down in the comments down below. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching and for liking these videos, and tell me what you are using right now in the comments down below. If it's the same system you're using that you started the year with, or if it's different, I'd really love to know. And yeah, make sure your planners stay flexible, because this is your life, you know? We gotta do what feels right and do what feels natural. So I'm here for all the movement, basically. Okay, cool. I love you guys. Thanks for being awesome. And I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.